I mean, who wouldn't want an extra $50,000? Hey guys, this is Filip Hajduk. Welcome to another episode of the Duke Pod, Real Estate Stories. So today we're going to bring you a fascinating, and kind of like almost like a general rule of a story of a client that didn't need to sell, wanted to sell, had a certain expectation, and ultimately what we did that added a lot of value to that home that ended up becoming a good enough price that the client was really happy with, or generally happy, we should say, right? Like, I mean, I guess you don't know how it's going to turn out because I haven't told you yet. But we're going to focus on three things, right? So, in the market that we currently have, it is April, almost end of April. It is a spring market, but the way the last 2020, the last few months of 2020, and the way 2021 began, it was a really hot, really heated seller's market. A lot of homes going for maximum value. And in February, that was the peak. So if you sold a home in February, you made the most you could possibly make. Or if you were trying to buy a home in February, you were going to have to spend a lot of money to purchase a home, to win a home in multiple offers. So this episode is going to talk about improving the value of your home, which is really not relevant to exactly what type of market. So it is a general rule that you should do these things to improve the value of your home that really don't cost a lot of money, right? So when you go to a home, or when I go to a home, and I can make a list of improvements that would increase the value of the home. Some of the improvements could be very expensive, right? Brand new kitchen, new appliances, quartz countertop. And some of them are not that expensive and therefore worth considering doing before you, as a consumer, you as a seller, list your house, before you decide that, yes, I want to sell. And of course, you want to make as much money as possible. So it's not really totally relevant of what type of market it is. Right now, it's still a seller's market, and maybe after the stress test, they might be more of a neutral market. After the increase of the stress test in June 1st, it could be more of a level market. But the results could vary significantly if you don't accommodate for the items in your house that are relatively easy to improve on and therefore look nicer. And every time I list a house, right, we do photos, we do videos of the home. Most people are going to end up looking at the virtual tour of a house that they want to look at or that they want to buy. Ultimately, they're considering, even if they go and look at the home. First of all, you need the maximum amount of people to come and look at your home, and you need the best exposure. That has to begin with the way the home is set up and the pictures and the videos and photos, all that stuff, right? That'll drive the maximum amount of people, maximum amount of buyers to come into the house. Once they come in the house, you have a certain percentage that they'll like it enough to want to buy it. And then they may end up watching the videos and the virtual tour a few times before they ultimately put in an offer. So these are the most important parts of selling a house: is the video, the virtual tour, and the pictures that display how nice the home looks and what kind of value it has compared to other homes that are comparable. So with this particular episode is about a home I sold in Brampton. It literally sold 2 days ago, but I went to the client's house for the first time. I've never met these people. They were a referral from another client of mine. Many great thanks to that client, which is a whole other topic, how awesome clients are. And if you do a good job for them, they will say good things about you and you'll get more business, right? Now, this video is really a lot to do with painting, which we've talked about before, and then lighting, so light fixtures, we've also talked about that, and also staging. So these three things could be a huge difference that doesn't actually cost like that much money in the grand scheme of things, right? And I'll give you a quick math example, so you guys kind of get that idea, right? I'll tell you how much each of these things cost for this house, and I'll tell you the size of the house, and you could determine what you think. All right, so I went to this house in Brampton. Now this is a very, I think, a common type of family that would be looking to sell a home. So it could be very relatable. If you don't have any kids or any animals, that's different. And now these guys don't have any animals, which is easier, of course. Cats are not really a big deal. Dogs, you normally you can't just leave the dog during the sale, and that that will be easier, right? So I went to this house, and they didn't need to sell, but they wanted to sell, and then they want to use their earnings to invest in investment properties, and they actually want to rent after. So I met these people for the first time. I looked around. In the living room that we sat down to discuss the house after I looked at the whole home, it's where orange and red meet. So literally one wall is red and one wall is orange. So you have to have that conversation with your client, or with the client, saying, even this before they hire you, you say, hey, listen, I know you guys want to make as much money as possible. And these colors, if you guys are going to, let's say, paint your walls black or red or green or whatever color you want, it's totally fine if you're going to live in that house for a long time and you're going to enjoy it. But if you guys are talking about selling, I think we should repaint this house. They agreed. The other thing I talked about is that they had some very, very old builder grade lights. The home was only 15 years old, and the layout is great. Had 9-foot ceilings. It's a 4-bedroom, 2,200, almost 2,300 square foot home in a nice area, on a nice street, close to schools, close to highways in Brampton, right by Mavis and Steeles, actually. So it's overall a good area, fairly young home, good layout, basement was finished, had an apartment. So it will have a lot of features that a lot of people are going to look for in a house. So we know the house is going to be in demand, but the reality is that the items that we decide to do from the time we, you live in the home to the time you're presenting the home, you're putting the house on the market, how that looks and how that is presented could really be the difference of $25, $50, $100,000 depending on the market. So I told you that's not relevant to the market, but in a seller's market where some homes are selling $100,000 over asking, or just like substantially high, it could be a difference of $50,000 easily. In a more neutral market, it could be the difference of, let's say, 10, 15, 20,000, but it could also get your home sold a lot faster than, sometimes, there are years where it takes 30 days on average to sell a home. So people forget how long it sometimes takes to find a buyer, to find a good buyer in a more neutral market. And 30 days of like keeping your house clean and having people in and out is not really a lot of fun. Let's be honest. So getting back on track, they had a lot of old builder grade lights that was, really made the house look dated. And they had a lot of good features in the home, I've already mentioned, but they also had a big kitchen. So even like the kitchen, for example, had basic countertop, builder grade countertop. Didn't have quartz, no quartz, no new countertops, and not white cabinets. They were like beige. They were okay, but the point was the kitchen was big, so I don't think anyone would have a problem with the size of the kitchen. This idea that if they said, hey, what can we do to our house to make it the best possible? Yes, you could improve the kitchen, but I don't think it's necessary because I think it's too expensive. You can spend $10,000 to replace the countertops and and the cabinetry to paint them all white, or to change the whole kitchen. It's not necessary. That would cost like thousands of dollars because the market is still good. But we need to eliminate the paint, and with the client's permission, I said, hey, let's replace the lights. Get some chandeliers in here where there should be chandeliers, like at the front or in the hallway or in the kitchen, and replace the lights to more bright, lovely lighting that's going to look nice, modern colors. A lot of the lights we ended up buying was like $50 lights to $100 chandeliers, and they made a huge difference. So the client agreed to do that, and they actually didn't have that much furniture on the main floor. Some of their furniture was like scratched up. They have 2 kids, and it's totally normal to live in a way where you have toys everywhere. You have some couches that are scratched up, especially older couches. You don't feel too bad about. No problem. But if we listed the house like that, people are not gonna like the furniture. It's not gonna look good, and it's not gonna have as much interest, right? Remember, the whole point of building a hype and making your home as presentable as possible is to try to, buyers look at multiple homes. The average buyer will look at like 3 to 5 homes in any one day where they go on showings, and you want your home to stick out as their number one option. Number one, number two, but number one would be ideal, right? Because you want as many people to try to go after that home as possible. You have a certain offer date, you want to collect as many offers. So the clients agreed to do the painting, they agreed to change the lights, and the reality is that the market is slowly shifting from a seller's market. It's still seller's market, but it's slowing down. So the offers that people are getting are not as lucrative, and it only made sense to sell it for a certain price. So like that 1,200,000, it was basically their price. And there were some homes that sold like 2 months ago in the peak that were more, not like crazy more, but like 100,000 more. And like these are the best of their version. And first you have to tell them, hey, look, we're not in the same market, but if your expectations are to make at least this much, we got to do everything we can to make it worth your while. If they didn't want to do that, then you just have to set their expectations lower and be like, hey, look, I think that if we don't do this, or you don't have the money to do this, or you don't want to do it, you don't want people in your house, you don't want tradespeople in your house, doing these fixtures, then, maybe the home will sell around the 1.1 mark and not 1.2 or 1.125. But it really will make a difference. So they agreed to do all that stuff, and then I agreed to get the whole main floor staged as we remove all the couches. So the painting costs around $2,600. That includes touch-ups on the trims, the whole hallway, the upper hallway where you have like, you're going up the stairs and the hallway looks like it's like 15 feet high. Very tough to paint for the average person. So it's good to hire a professional and not take the risk of falling, breaking your hand, or spraining your ankle, or worse. And the light fixtures cost the clients around $1,000 for all the lights. Maybe another, $1,000 for installation. So you're looking at $5,000 in improvements to the home, which made a huge difference. So if you go to 8 Maddybeth, Maddybeth, on YouTube, you'll see what the home looks like. In fact, I think I'm going to post a video. Once I do the video, I'll post a link to the description here, the before and after photos. Once we did all that and then we added the staging, it made a huge difference, right? We listed the price at a competitive, fairly competitive market value price where it seemed attractive, and I believe it listed on Friday. So Friday had a few appointments, but Saturday, Sunday you had like almost 15 appointments each. And if you're asking how can these people be home for so many appointments, if you guessed that they left to go to their grandparents, moms, and the kids went to their grandparents for a few days, that's exactly what happened. There was just too much action. On Tuesday, we ended up getting 5 offers, and one of the offers ultimately went up to 1.22. So even though they were hoping for 1.2 million, they got 1.22 million. And I think that all these features really made a huge difference. Staging the home shows the home in the best possible capacity. It just makes it so nice. People feel like they're living in luxury no matter what value they're actually purchasing, right? Because if you think of a luxurious home in today's market, you're thinking 3-4 million. And this is a home that's, a little over $1 million. So it's not a luxury type of home. Whoever buys it is not really living a luxury. I mean, of course, it's subjective. But in terms of a home value, so these changes, painting to a neutral color, changing the lights, getting the staging. If I had to guess what the house would sell for before that, I would guess it would sell for $1,125,000. There are other homes that sold like that have the same size, the same basement apartment that were just mediocre looking. So for the client to do 5,000, to pay out of pocket $5,000, I paid for the staging. To pay out of pocket $5,000 to have the improvements to the walls, to the lights, and overall have a much better radiant, rich feel to the home, which looks way better on the photos and videos and virtual tour, and brought so many people in the house. They ultimately sold the home for 1.22 million, which, if I had to guess, the extra 5,000 they spent to improve their home got them an additional 95,000 on the sale of their home. I can't just take all the credit for that, guys. But I did advise them to do these things. And if you subtract 5,000 for 95,000, they ultimately made $90,000 extra money on their home. Of course, they expected a high number, so these improvements were necessary. However, I would advise anyone selling a home to try to do those. And what are the correct improvements you're looking to make in your home? Basically, think of staging, lighting, and painting as not that expensive overall in the grand scheme of things. And could it really increase how many people want your home and therefore how much money you make? So whenever you're thinking about selling your home, guys, ask your realtor to come over. Give yourself a 2-week window, right? Ideally. If the home is already beautiful and you just need to get it on the market ASAP for whatever reason, 48 hours is very possible. It's not a big deal. I mean, anyone can list your home right away, but you don't want to do it without the proper layout, with like at least decluttering the home, removing some basic stuff in the home just to make it more spacious looking and show off the best features, and then also photos, right, and videos. So 48 hours is probably the minimum, but if you invite your realtor over, he gives you some very good tips on how to improve the value of your home. You can agree or disagree. However, these 3 things I think are vital, especially in a seller's market, which is going to improve the, for this example, $90,000. In a neutral market, it should improve the value of your home by $15,000, $20,000, plus get your home sold right away, as opposed to waiting 30 days for a $20,000 less offer. And even if you spend 5,000, got 20 back, I would make that trade any day of the week, right? So keep those tips in mind, and I will try to post that video later on. I'll look for the link and let me know what you guys think about this episode. Enjoy.